I know I'm a day late, but in honor of Mihawk's and Shanks' birthday, if you guys didn't know, they have the same birthday. We're here to talk about the two and how exactly Mihawk aided Shanks and how Shanks is partially famous because of Mihawk. Now, there's some context that's needed to be added here, but these two men, while One Piece is going on and after it ends, will be forever intertwined and connected. The debates about who is stronger and who is greater will continue even after the series has ended. I don't think Oda would ever distinguish who is better or who is greater. I think by the time we see Shanks and Mihawk, it'll be towards the end of the series, which is, close by, but then things won't be definitive either way. So we have to kind of piece things together. And then it comes down to speculation and how you just feel about these characters. But for Mihawk and Shanks, people have several feelings about this. Okay. Most people know where I stand. I'll let you guys know at the end so you don't think I'm biased, but how exactly did Mihawk help Shanks become a Yonko or make him famous? Or what was Mihawk's relationship with Shanks? Based on what we know, it seems like they had a rivalry and they were competing to be the best. One thing we know about Mihawk, and this was revealed in the Vivid cards, was that Mihawk, he was famous even while Roger was alive. So going off of that, Mihawk, who was more than likely on his own, was out in the world before Shanks was. Again, Mihawk is 4 years older than Shanks, but he was famous, or a lot more famous than Shanks was back then. So what exactly am I talking about? Well, there's an Ace novel that's to be released in May, and this will be canon and is documenting Ace's travels. And there's a lot of lore in there. And again, these are translations, fan translations. It's not the official thing, and I was gonna hold off, but again, it is Mihawk's and Shanks' birthday, so I was like, why not? Let's just go all the way in. So we know about the duels between Shanks and Mihawk. That was said by Whitebeard, and that they were so famous or so legendary that everyone knew about it. It rang through the New World. Even Whitebeard did, and Whitebeard was, at the summit of the pirate world. In this translation, apparently in the novel, it's revealed that Shanks and Mihawk, they had several duels, and every one of them made headlines. Furthermore, most of Shanks' fame are from those duels. It is also said that he does not seek to become the Pirate King. Shanks becoming Pirate King, that's a separate topic. We won't even touch on that, but I think here, well, quickly, I guess we can touch on it. It says a lot about Roger's impact, and I think Shanks, seeing what Roger went through, had some impact on what he was chasing and maybe his initial goals and how they changed over time. But again, a conversation for another day. Going back to the statement about Shanks's and Mihawk's duels, saying that a lot of Shanks's fame are from these duels. I have heard a lot of people after hearing this came to the conclusion, well, evidently this means that Mihawk is stronger than Shanks, greater than Shanks. And the Mihawk Shanks argument, again, that will go on forever. For you guys that haven't heard, it's with Mihawk being the world's greatest or world's strongest swordsman, Shanks being a swordsman himself, so therefore Shanks, based on technicality, should be beneath Mihawk. The Shanks side of the argument goes to, well, Shanks, after losing his arm, had to compensate, so he's not just a pure swordsman anymore. You can take that for what it's worth, but I think most people feel like Shanks is the stronger one. But anyway, to Shanks being famous from the duels, let's talk about the Mihawk side. If you're a Mihawk fan or Mihawk stan, you're looking at it saying, well, if you're so much greater or so much better than this person, how can you gain fame from someone you're stronger than? Evidently, that would mean Shanks was weaker than Mihawk, and so because of that, he's gaining fame off of Mihawk's name. Mihawk being the world's greatest swordsman even today, and Shanks probably has to thank Mihawk for his position currently. Because again, if he gained most of his fame from Mihawk, that probably was the springboard which led to him becoming a Yonko. And even in the novel, it says a Yonko is about establishing territory. That's why Ben Beckman, he wasn't confident of Ace's journey to establish territory because he had a one-track mind, essentially. With Shanks, off of his duels with Mihawk, using that fame as a springboard probably made him a lot more notorious, so therefore, Shanks probably has Mihawk to thank for him being a Yonko. That's the Mihawk side of the argument, or how some Mihawk fans could justify it. Now to the Shanks side, well, Mihawk is 4 years older than Shanks. Mihawk was famous before Shanks. Mihawk was a great swordsman even before Shanks went on his own after Roger died. So therefore, if Mihawk is a great swordsman, probably renowned as one of the best at the time, maybe not the world's greatest, but one of the best, probably attained that a bit later, or maybe he was when Shanks started becoming a pirate, or went out on his own after Roger died. If he's challenged by a young buck, granted, Shanks was on Roger's crew, but he was an apprentice at the time, probably not well known, challenged by a young buck, and that young buck is holding his own against Mihawk. Again, Mihawk is 4 years older. The person that would benefit the most from this is Shanks. Now, this is not to the detriment of Mihawk. However, this says more about Shanks than Mihawk, in my opinion, because from that, Mihawk being established and Shanks coming out of nowhere, it's impressive that essentially the rookie is holding his own against a renowned pirate. That's like Luffy going out into the world and challenging Katakuri. Katakuri is already a legendary pirate. I mean, we know the facade that was created around Katakuri about him not falling on his back, him walking out of Big Mom, standing up, all these different things. But say you have the legendary resume that Katakuri has and Luffy comes out of nowhere and Luffy's competing with you, Luffy benefits more, even though one could say Katakuri was stronger. It's almost like the Haki blooming thing, where because Luffy was weaker than Katakuri, he benefits more and he gets a lot stronger during the fight, more than Katakuri would because Luffy's getting to Katakuri's level. The exact same thing here with Shanks and Mihawk. The fact that they had multiple duels means that these duels were not one-sided. These duels went on and they probably ended in a draw, and so they had to happen over and over again. It was iron sharpening iron. But then Shanks would obviously again benefit more because he's the newer pirate. He's the one trying to establish himself. So I don't think this says anything about who's stronger or who's greater. It just says that Mihawk was the greater pirate initially, and then Shanks, after leaving Roger's ship, trying to establish himself, then gained a lot of fame off of the duels. One could say Mihawk benefited as well, but Mihawk was already famous. So that statement makes a lot of sense. It's not a referendum on strength whatsoever. It's just about notoriety. Again, you can pull whatever you want from these arguments, but I thought that was really interesting how we always speculate that Mihawk, if he ever joined Shanks' crew, it would make him a powerhouse. But seeing how Mihawk indirectly helped Shanks in his pirate career, it actually makes sense. I'm not sure how close these two are, but Mihawk went out of his way to take Luffy's bounty to Shanks personally, which does indicate Mihawk has some interest in Luffy, but of course in Zoro, but also how endearing he is to Shanks shows here. Who do I think is stronger? Personally, Shanks. But I don't think Mihawk is that far behind. I think the separation is very small. That may be a video I make one day where I talk about just the level of separation between the top tiers, because a lot of people, they feel like if you place someone above another, that means that they're winning 10 out of 10 times, but that's not the case at all. If you're one spot, 2 spots, 3 spots, 4 spots, the battle could go either way. It just means that maybe your destructive force is more, maybe you have a better power overall, better portrayal. But keeping it to Mihawk and Shanks, it's literally about how you feel about the characters. I mean, they haven't had much screen time. They've both gotten great hype. I think Mihawk in particular, he's gotten an absurd amount of hype. Like, Mihawk hasn't been touched at all throughout the series. We know Shanks was scarred by Blackbeard, but that was it. But then Blackbeard is currently a Yonko and probably will be the strongest Yonko after Wano. And that depends how you see the series going. Do you see Shanks losing? Do you see Big Mom and Kaido falling? I presume Big Mom and Kaido falls and then Shanks falls to Blackbeard. So then by default, that leaves Blackbeard as the strongest Yonko. But this is interesting stuff. I will be making videos from this novel probably over the next couple weeks because I think this is a lot of great information. Again, once the actual novel comes out, I'll go back and if anything is different, I'll make a video about it. But this is amazing stuff. Basically, Shanks owes a lot of his fame to Mihawk. Him being a Yonko and owing that to Mihawk, that's a bit of an exaggeration because even if you become famous, you still have to put in the work and establish territories and do everything that it needs to become that legendary. But of course, I'm sure when they have their back and forths, Mihawk would mention, well, you know, you were nobody when we started dueling and you kind of became famous off of me. So interesting thing to know. Guys, let me know your thoughts. How do you feel about it? Does this change anything for you in regards to Mihawk versus Shanks? Or is this more ammunition in your arguments and debates in regards to either side? I'm not gonna lie, when somebody came to me and they told me that, hey, information dropped about Shanks and Mihawk and is saying that Mihawk was the reason why Shanks became famous, I don't know, my heart dropped a little bit, especially as a Shanks fan, because I'm like, oh my God, the Mihawk fans, they now have more ammunition to use against Shanks. And then I thought about it, it's like, it's not even that deep. But after you go and you read and you get more context, you realize, yeah, it's really not that big of a deal. But again, when you join the B.D.A. Discord, that's one of the first questions you're asked. that's one of the most contentious arguments on the internet. Maybe a slight exaggeration, but one of the most contentious arguments in One Piece for sure. The next, obviously, Sanji and Zoro, which is probably a bit more toxic and cancerous because they have a bigger fan base. But right beneath that is Shanks and Mihawk, and I think Luffy and Katakuri, maybe Yonko and Admirals, but those are the famous debates. But Mihawk and Shanks, it never disappoints because it is always injected with abnormal levels of toxicity. Give me your thoughts below. Make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at BragoDAce. Follow me on Instagram at BragoD.Ace. Thank you to my patrons. I appreciate you guys so much. Like and subscribe. I shall catch you guys in the next one. Peace.